Good morning, everyone. I woke up today not exactly low on energy, but more in the mood for a slow, relaxed day, with no big plans. This morning started very slowly. I stayed in bed for probably half an hour before finally getting up to make myself a coffee. And of course, I climbed right back into the bed with it. I opened the balcony doors and just enjoyed the beautifully warm morning air. One thing I absolutely have to do today is put some fertilizer into a few of my planter pots. I do this every year because I want my plants to grow beautifully. I absolutely love all the plants I have on my balcony, and I really try to take the best care of them so they stay gorgeous and keep giving me these little oases of peace and relaxation. I've decided I'm just going to blame today's weather for my calm and laid-back mood. But then again, today is the first really warm day, almost hot. Even while I was still lying in bed this morning, I had that feeling like I was on vacation, somewhere by the coast. So honestly, I'm just going to go with the flow. I do have a few things to get done, but nothing too serious. And even those are more like little enjoyable things, rather than actual obligations. For today's lunch, I'm making rice with a kind of Asian-inspired sauce. I sliced into thin strips turkey meat and left it to marinate for a while. The marinade is super simple. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon of whiskey, and a little bit of garlic powder. I let the meat simmer for a few minutes. Then I added some sliced leek. Actually, the very last leek from my garden from last year. I had to use it because it had already started flowering. And that's actually what inspired today's lunch in the first place. I also throw in 1 green pepper I had sitting in the fridge. Then I added some extra garlic, Provençal mix of spices, a little water, a bit more soy sauce and oyster sauce, and a handful of peanuts. I didn't add any salt because the sauces are already salted enough on their own. And that's it. Such a simple but incredibly tasty lunch. Ready in less than an hour. Perfect for lazy relaxed day like today, or for days when you just don't have much time. And because both my partner and I are a huge salad lovers, I also made a big bowl of green salad on the side. I dressed it with pumpkin seed oil and apple cider vinegar. And I just added a little salt, and that was it. Simple and delicious food that doesn't ask much energy from you. I'm planning to plant a few flowers in the balcony planters later, but I actually wanted to show you first just how close the neighbor's house is. The balconies are positioned in a way that we're basically looking straight into each other's apartments. Everything is designed with almost zero privacy, and since our apartment has a pretty open layout, they can practically see throughout our entire place. So, let me create a little privacy. I know I've already mentioned this, but I can't help it. I'm just really happy because where I live, today is the first truly warm late spring day. You can actually feel the heat in the air, and the sun is already pretty strong. The past few days were actually cold and rainy, so a day like this feels even more beautiful. I'm going to relax a little more on the balcony with a coffee and a glass of wine, because apparently this day still isn't relaxed enough yet. I also need to make a plan for next week. Over the last few days, I've been playing around with my planner, working on a few organizers. I created a few different planning sheets for myself to make organizing everything easier and to keep a better overview of my life. Honestly, in my head, it has felt like a complete jungle lately, so I need to put everything into planners and charts just to make life feel a little easier. These sheets really help me manage everything I have going on during the week or month, and I divided them into different categories. A lot of the time, I simply have too many things going on, and if I don't write them down, I genuinely lose track of everything. Even though I keep a lot of it on my phone, which is practical because we all have our phone nearby, I still absolutely love old school pen and paper. I don't know why, but my brain honestly releases happy hormones the second I grab a pen and start scribbling on paper. My first page is a monthly to-do list. That's where I write down all the important things: deadlines, appointments, planned trips, the tasks scheduled for a certain day. Basically, almost everything. The next page is my workout plan. I like having an overview of how much movement and exercise I get during the week. Some weeks I'm super consistent, working out every day, going for walks, or doing some kind of movement regularly. But then there are weeks when I overload myself with work and completely skip exercise altogether. And I should be more mindful about it because I have a job where I spend most of my day sitting at my desk. So moving my body during the rest of the day is really important. Something my dietitian told me a few days ago has stayed in my head ever since. She said, okay, you work a lot, but don't you also have just 10 minutes a day for some kind of movement? By the end of the week, that's 70 minutes of movement, and that's better than nothing. And I genuinely think about this every single day now. It helps me become more aware of putting work aside and actually take time for myself. The work will still be there tomorrow. I also have a page dedicated to self care, skincare, and wellness. That's where I write down everything connected to taking care of my skin and mind. I don't track my everyday skincare routine, but things like facial treatments, dermatology appointments. I also go for face massages every now and then, so I write it down too. I write down meditations and other relaxing therapies. I don't actually schedule my meditation though. I just write them down after I do them, so I keep track of everything. I don't want to force myself into something that doesn't feel right in that moment, so I prefer not to plan this ahead. And if I ever feel irritated or overwhelming for no obvious reason, I can look back throughout my planner and immediately see what's going on. Usually, it's just too much work and not enough time to relax. And the last page is for our home. We have quite a few renovation projects planned this year, so it's nice to have this project at least somehow organized. It just makes the whole process run a little more smoother. This is the wooden raised planter that I used to have on my balcony on the other side of the apartment. If you watched my previous videos back in fall, I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. Whether to keep it or repurpose it into benches along the balcony railing. I actually made this raised planter a few years ago for my herbs and spices. But after some time, I replanted everything into larger clay pots. In the end, I moved the raised planter to this balcony and placed 2 pots of laurel on each end, with a privet plant in the middle. The idea is to create a little more privacy on the balcony and inside the apartment. And I think it looks nice too. In between those planters, I placed 2 wider planter boxes where I'll be planting flowers. On the outer side of the planter, I'm planting blackberry lily or leopard lily and burning daylight, large flowered daylilies. They both bloom in spring, but the plants still look beautiful even after that, because they have long, elegant leaves that will create even more privacy. Most likely the lilies won't bloom this year, because it is too late for them to bloom. But next year they definitely will, and I can't wait. On the inner side of the planters, I'll plant double-flowered trickseed, early sunrise. These flowers bloom in the most gorgeous orange color all summer long. I actually already had them on my balcony in the past, so I'm really happy to bring them back again. I noticed that some of them will start blooming pretty soon, which already makes me happy. I also had to remove the top finishing board from the raised planter because I added larger planter boxes inside it. So I'm going to install narrower and taller finishing slats to completely hide the planters inside. I've made a commitment to myself to do some kind of movement every day, whether it's a walk, stretching, Pilates, a proper workout with weights, or using the elliptical. With such a fast-paced lifestyle most of us have lately, it's so easy to fall into the go-go-go loop, and we forget to take care of ourselves. And movement is definitely something that's good for us, both for body and mind. Today I'm going to do some gentle exercises and just improvise as I go, doing whatever feels right for me in this moment. I'll use a resistance band and some light weights. It's a bit of a lazy, low energy day today, but I still don't want to neglect my body. And I always feel better after working out anyway, so it's worth it. Which is nice. If you've seen my previous videos, you might remember that I moved a canvas painting I had in my living room into my studio, with the intention of reworking it a bit. But lately I'm leaning more and more towards photographic prints instead. I've decided I'll look for images on Shutterstock. I want the photos to bring a bit more life to the living room walls. I'm mainly drawn to nature, or maybe some architectural shots. I'll see what I can find. You know that feeling when you see an image and it just instantly gives you that beautiful emotional spark? Well, that's what I'm looking for. And of course, it has to be something both my partner and I like. Only then I'll get them printed and put them in a frame. This day had that slow, easy rhythm I didn't even know I needed until I was in it. My mind and body kind of just did their own reset. There was no pressure and no rushing, just space to enjoy things as they come. I realized I've actually been missing days like this, the kind when there's enough time to just sit with your thoughts and think about all the nice things you might do next, without that little voice of guilt for doing nothing. It's funny how easily the relaxed mode can happen on holidays, but how rarely it sneaks into everyday life. We just need to gently remind ourselves from time to time that we are not meant to live only for work. And that's completely okay. I would say even necessary. I'll spend a bit of time hunting for that aha photos, enjoying a cozy cup of tea, and then head for an early night. Have a lovely day, and thank you for watching. See you in my next one. Bye!